HBO is releasing a behind-the-scenes look at the new Harry Potter series coming April 6th. Well, this behind the scenes is April 6th, the show comes out Christmas. But this means it's only a few days away. But today we're going to analyze all the new frames we get from this new little trailer, you could say. But I found some details, so let's get right into it. So for this first shot, we've got Hagrid and the first years in the forest walking up to presumably the boats. So this would be in around the second or third episode when they're first arriving at Hogwarts. Something of interest that was in the trailer, but now we're seeing this here, is right now it looks like it's daytime, whereas the trailer has it at nighttime. I wonder if this is just them practicing. I don't know why it would take all day to just walk straight, but I guess you're dealing with a lot of kids. Again, this isn't too different from what we see in the trailer, so I'm gonna move on. We now get our first look at the Ravenclaw logo and the Slytherin logo on these banners that are hanging from the wall. Part of me is thinking this might be the Great Hall based off of this little fire torch we've got on that's hanging from the wall, very similar from the ones we saw in the Great Hall in the original films. Well, first take a look at this Ravenclaw logo. Of course we've got the raven, but this is more of like a pixel art type style. I don't even know what you'd call this. It's very flat. The raven is obviously looks like it's like flat up against if there was like a wall in front of it. But of course it is a raven. The design, it's all right. I wonder if this will be the design for everything or if this is just this unique banner. Moving on to the Slytherin logo we've got here, it looks very similar to the Slytherin logo we used to have in the original films. It's even got that same like loop in the center of it. Both look decent, and I'm assuming the other two would then be on the other wall, which would be Gryffindor and Hufflepuff. This next shot we got is right outside of the entrance hall where the trailer took place. We know this because of these doors right here on the sides. It's the same one that Hagrid is knocking on. It's got the same architecture in the center as well. Interesting, because I almost thought that in the trailer we were outside when Hagrid was knocking on the door, but based off of this wall over here on the right, and we can kind of see one on the left over here, like we're almost still inside of Hogwarts. So do you pass through maybe an area over here? That's a blue screen, so we don't know what that is yet, but maybe you pass through an area over here, you come around, and then you're still in Hogwarts? I guess these trees could just be inside. I'm not really sure. I guess we will have to find out, but it looks like we're inside a building still. We get a half a second look right here at the Great Hall. We'll get a better view of this. I'm not going to harp on this for too long. We do see Lux Pratt as Draco Malfoy there. We know this is the Great Hall because these kids are sitting at the tables. We're going to get a better view of this in 2 seconds. Here we're in King's Cross Station, and here is the Lost Property area and the cafe area, which I said in my video. Roll the clip. We see a sign that says Lost and then some word. I got no clue what it says. There's also a little sign in the bottom right for a cafe. Again, this is a little bit new. So yeah, this does say Lost Property on it. So I guess if you've lost anything at King's Cross, this is where you can maybe find it. It's the Lost and Found, I guess. And then on the right, there's a cafe, which is very interesting. Again, new to the books. I'm trying to read what it says over here. It almost looks like Vermont or something. Vermont? I got no clue. That might be reflected also. Well, instead, looking at the cafe, looks like we've got like a little bar here. At the top, it says there's fresh fruit, refreshments, and soft drinks. So I guess maybe you could meet over here. I'm now wondering when they would ever use this in the show. It's almost like if you build these things, you're going to use them at some point. I don't know why they would just be in the background if there's no reason for this. It could maybe be for Order of the Phoenix, maybe? But yeah, these are the same two buildings we already saw in the trailer in the corner. So maybe there's only these two, but I would maybe bet money on there's going to be a lot more. But again, they really both look nice. I really love this cafe area. It's got to be a great spot to hang out. Okay, here we've got Diagon Alley. My first thoughts when seeing this is if we look at this little red building over here, it looks very similar to Wiseacre's Wizardwear in the Universal Studios park. And it's also the same store that the Escape from Gringotts ride comes out of once you finish the ride. It's like the exit to the ride. Some other things I'm noticing is this white pole is probably a Gringotts pole. I swear we've seen this brick building over here before, but I'm not too sure about that. This left area though is that same awning area we see in we see it later actually in this trailer, but we also see it in some of the set photos too. Super cool that they're building this set though. I mean, if we can ever tour this fully fledged set, you got my money. I'm flying over there right now. And right here is a shot that I was very, very interested in. Before we talk about the model, we also see these brooms in the back. You see these brooms? This one's got like a weird, not nice, but weird curve in it. This one next to it also has a curve in it. I'm guessing these are like old brooms, maybe clean sweeps. They don't look too nice. Also, they've got these ones over here that we can barely make out. They look a little bit similar, but again, they probably just came up with a ton of different brooms, which is obviously awesome. But moving our attention to the main course, you could say, of this image, right here is the entrance hall, this part on the right, and then on the left is actually the Great Hall. From the little view we get of it, it almost looks like the exact same design as the movies, with the window out the back, the long hallway, the windows on both sides, and there's no window right down here, which will be the fireplace that was also in the original movies, but we saw a brief glimpse of in the trailer that came out like a week ago. But yeah, on the right, this is the entrance hall. The kids would enter through here. Right here is where the sign was that said welcome students. Through here, we had the trio standing here. These are the spiral staircase in the back. Again, we already saw this area like multiple times. But now I'm also interested in this part on the left in the back. It almost looks like there's like maybe windows here that look into the Great Hall. So in a way, this is our first look at some of the Hogwarts design. It'll definitely be interesting to see the new design with the Great Hall right here and then another part of the building almost right next to it. It feels like it takes away from the grandness of the Great Hall. In the movies, the Great Hall's kind of like alone, which gives it that grandness, which I'm talking about. But again, if it's now like just inside the building, you might not even really realize it's there. But again, I'm very interested to see what this back area is. The Great Hall is looking great, and we'll move on. Alright, at first glance, I thought this was maybe a Diagon Alley thing again, but with further inspection, I'm actually just thinking this is a Hogwarts courtyard. The architecture is very castle-like. It's got the windows and these like little pillars, which are very similar to what we saw in the Transfiguration courtyard. Again, there's no grass here. Maybe there will be grass added later, or maybe it's like a courtyard inside the castle that would still have like the stone for the floor. But again, I would not be surprised if this ends up being a Hogwarts courtyard because it's really got that vibe going. Here's just another angle of the same entrance hall we've got a million times. We keep seeing this welcome first year sign, and so is it up all year? I mean, I know it's not, but every single scene we get from this little area all has this welcome to first year sign. Something I'm a little bit interested in is that there's a window down here, as we can see, but then up here there's actually a door. So how does this castle structure work? I can maybe imagine like a wall outside being here, but if there's a window there and a door right there, the structure's gotta be a little bit weird looking. From the outside, of course. I really just love this area. I mean, this area is the one we've seen the most, and it's also one of the ones that look the coolest. Here is the Great Hall, which I was telling you about earlier. There's obviously Harry next to Parvati Patil. That might be Neville. I'm not 100% sure. The image will be up next to me on screen. You can make your judgment on that. Of course, he's across from Ron and Hermione as well. And that too might be Lavender Brown, but don't take my word for that. I think on this top wall up here might be that Slytherin and Ravenclaw banner that we saw earlier, and then this, or maybe this one of these lamps, torch things on the wall, is where we were seeing it from. I'm fairly confident on that one. But that also means I'm assuming that these banners on the wall reflect the house tables, which would then make that far one Ravenclaw, then Slytherin next to the Gryffindor ones. Even though we don't see the banner, we see Gryffindor here, which would then put Hufflepuff on the farthest right, kind of cut off from this frame. This is actually canon to the books because here we see someone get sorted into Hufflepuff, and then guess what? The table on the far right of the hall, right here, right, cheered and clapped, and that's where Hannah Abbott ended up going, which would then be on the right, which is also where the Hufflepuffs are. But uh-oh, we got a mess up. Here we've got Ravenclaw, and it says the table second from the left clapped this time, whereas in the original image, Ravenclaw is now farthest left. And next, the Lavender Brown gets sorted into Gryffindor, and the table on the far left exploded, meaning Gryffindor is actually the farthest left. All this to say, it doesn't really matter, but it's not book accurate. Moving on, we're in what looks to be maybe the Transfiguration classroom. That is a guess based off this little thing we see on the wall back here. It's like, looks like it's like moving into something, and maybe that's an animal. So again, this is a guess, that's Transfiguration. There's obviously Hermione here with her new wand. Not much to say about it besides this is the design we can kind of get from it. It's got these spiral patterns on it. Here on the right is Neville. He's got almost just like this stick for a wand. I mean, his wand is a hand-me-down, if I'm correct. And so it's probably old. But then behind him and pointing it at her is Parvati. Her wand's got a little like divot in it, and it's like some like spruce wood, it kind of looks like. Next, we got a bit of a video of these letters coming out of this like generator. It was pretty obvious that they were going to do this because it's in the books, but it's nice to see it. We get a new look at the first years walking. I don't know if this is actually going to be in the film or if this is just a little clip of them walking. I mean, the kid literally looks at the camera, so it's definitely not a clip. We know that. But maybe they're walking to set. I don't know if this is how it's going to be looking. But what I will say is you see Locke's Pratt there in the center of frame, towering over these other first years. Locke's Pratt, who plays Draco Malfoy, is actually 14, I think, when filming this, where all the other kids are like 12. The main point is I think he's 2 years older than most of these other first years, which would then obviously equate to him being a lot bigger in those primitive years. The kids also have these purple ties, which I'll come back to in just a moment. Again, we get people in the Great Hall, but that is not what I want to focus on. I want to take our attention to this back corner at maybe this table, a staff table, where I think that is Warwick Davis, the person who will be playing Professor Flitwick, who also played it in the original movies. Warwick Davis is the only original actor from the original movies who is reprising his role. On top of all of this, there's also a door in the back that looks mighty similar to the door they had Snape walk through, but also Mad-Eye Moody in the original films. I don't know why they would need this door. Again, maybe it's the door that goes off the Great Hall that stores, there's like a little office there that they mentioned a few times in the books. But yeah, great to see Warwick Davis in the back. I think people forget that Warwick Davis is going to be in this project, and so it's great to see him. Hopefully we see him in some trailers pretty soon. Next up, we've got this creature that looks sort of like a Dugbog from the video game Hogwarts Legacy, and that's also mentioned in the Half-Blood Prince book. Very interesting that they're even making animatronics of these niche little creatures, where I almost feel like this could easily be done with visual effects, but it's great to see that they're doing this, and we're about to see the owl in about 2 seconds. So yeah, here's the owl designs. Not much to say because I don't know anything about doing this kind of stuff, but they've got the designs here, and this is what these owls are looking like. They look so realistic. I'm gonna have this clip in the background of them moving their heads and their eyes. I have no clue how they make them look this good. That must also be a Hedwig animatronic then that we saw in the trailer, which I was like, looks phenomenal. I didn't even realize. So clearly they're doing a good job with this. Now for one of the heavy hitting images we've got from this little trailer of ours is an image of Herbage and Seed, a new shop in Diagon Alley. As I just mentioned, it's new, so this has actually never been mentioned before. Similar to like a Dogweed and Deathcap from Hogsmeade, which is another store that sells like these herbology mushroom type stuff. But again, this is new for the books, which would then be new for the series. It looks great. On the right, we've also got this Adeline's Close. It almost looks like an alleyway. I wonder if this is maybe a sign for something above it, or maybe it's just back in that alleyway. On top of this building, I can't tell really what creature that is. It almost looks like a Deary Call or Augury from the Harry Potter lore. I'll have 2 images up for those too. Again, this could really be any bird. Just based off that face, it almost looks a little bit different though. So those are my 2 best guesses. On the left, it looks like Ilop's Owl Emporium, which sells owls to buy as pets. You can kind of see these owls here, and you can see these cages in the bottom left. From this image, you can see them a lot better, and can I just say I was exactly right, because on the left, you can kind of read IUM, which would be the end of Emporium. You can see the L and the end of the W, which would be owl, and then this up here, you can see the P and the O, and all of that is Ilop's. So again, Ilop's Owl Emporium. Under this sign is another one that almost looks like it ends with E-R-I-E, potentially. Just based off that, it could be the end of the sign of Magical Menagerie, which is a place in Diagon Alley. But it's also like a red, where Magical Menagerie is usually green. So again, that could really be anything. It's not a big deal, but there is another sign there that is very blurry. And for our last scene in Diagon Alley, we can see up here a sign for Flourish and Blots. It's where we meet Gilderoy Lockhart. There's also just many scenes in Flourish and Blots. I don't know if I have to explain Flourish and Blots to y'all, but Flourish and Blots is great. So yeah, there is a sign up there, but behind it is looking like Gringotts Wizard Bank. You see all the white, you see all the pillars. It'll be pretty cool. It's looking massive, so that should be really cool. We're nearing the end, which is where we get the potions classroom. Now, hopefully this potions classroom doesn't change halfway through the series like it did in the movies. But it's looking very orange and very dark, and I'm loving it. We get the pots, we get the books that are kind of held up towards them because they gotta be doing directions constantly in potions. It looks very similar to the one we first got in the first Sorcerer's or Philosopher's Stone movie. The candles are a great touch. I'm wondering if it'll be hard to film in this room for how dark it is, but filmmakers have obviously got it. And for our last image, and I'm sorry Arabella Stanton for pausing it on this image, I'll cover that for you real quick. But yeah, we are in the Great Hall. This is our last image. The thing I paused it for and what I wanted to focus on is this purple tie. So as I mentioned previously, it seems as though the first years will have purple ties and purple clothing on before they're sorted into their houses. This is new. I'm assuming it's a primary color that's different from the main 4 colors that can signify a first year. Maybe that color will change from purple to your actual color during the sorting. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, we saw it earlier with the purple. It seems like it's going to be a thing, a little niche detail, but that's pretty cool. So yeah, that was my breakdown of Finding Harry, the craft behind the magic. Again, this comes out April 6th, so if you're seeing this when I'm releasing it, probably on April 3rd, will only be like 3 days away. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have even more to break down. It's gonna keep me busy. It's gonna keep you busy. I'm so happy that this series is getting off its feet. It'll be very interesting to see what they can show in this when it's coming out like 8 months before the series, but we'll all be there to analyze it and enjoy it when it comes. Make sure to check out my breakdown of the teaser trailer for the HBO series. Should be on my page and should be popping up right about now. And with all that being said, I think we're done. So, I've been the Wizard Project. Thanks for watching.